Oh, okay. So hello, everyone. My name is Dawid, and today I prepared for you a presentation, how to improve your mobile project in one day. I hope it will be a guide for everyone. On the beginning, briefly about me, I am mobile QA engineer. Also, I am creator of Apka mobile testing Polish meetup, and a huge fan of basketball and ultimate frisbee. Below are my social media. So if you have any questions related to the presentation, but not also, you can reach me out on the LinkedIn. I'm trying to answer as quick as possible. So feel free. On agenda for today, I prepare a presentation, which is kind of checklist. I will be talking about 6 tools, which were really helpful for me during one of my projects. And I think they are really good to start your work with if you are not, of course, using this right now. Also, if you are using something else, I will be really happy to hear that. So you can just let me know. All of these tools, which I will be talking about, I added to my project by myself. So as you can see, I am a tester. So if I can do that by myself, I think you can do this also. Okay, so I hope you are ready because I am really excited about this presentation. And let's start. So let me tell you a story about this presentation. And once I was in the project where client want to create a whole new application for iOS. So I was the only tester. I had a bunch of developers, iOS developers in the project, and we want to create something new from the scratch. So that was possibility to show my value as a tester, automation tester in the project, and build something new from the scratch. Also, my developers were very excited about new opportunity. We jumped to the code, start preparing our work, and after a few weeks, we faced few obstacles. So I told you that the project was new, right, for iOS, of course, but Android version was on the market for 7 years, and client want to just make an iOS application with the same feeling and the same look as on Android. If you at least once worked with mobile applications and you work with iOS and Android, you can see that with the same application, there is a big difference, and it's really hard to create something which is similar. And yeah, of course, there was lack of documentation. We had something from Android, but everything was related to Android, so we didn't have designs, mocks for iOS. They were never prepared before. So we need to build things by our own. So it takes more and more time. And it wasn't easy. An unusual technology stack. What's that mean is that the client had an Android application written in Kotlin. So they want to stay with the Kotlin and pick the core of the logic from application and use still Kotlin for them. But for views, they want to create something new in the native technologies. So for Android, it was Kotlin. For iOS, it was Swift. As you can imagine, there are 2 different technologies and they are not that similar. So there was quite mess related to the libraries and some documentation and etc. And it wasn't easy to manage everything in 2 different technologies. And the last thing, it was the team with different backgrounds, because we never worked before together as a team, and also half of the team based in London and half of the team based in Poland, in Warsaw mostly. And also, so everyone had different experience, different knowledge, and we need to find the same words for the things. And also our tech lead was an Android guy. So he never before worked with iOS as a developer, and it make more and more pain for us. But we decided to face our obstacles, and try to do something with this. So we just add these tools, which you saw on the beginning in the agenda, to help us with our development. And the first tool, it's Readme File. I think most of you seen this, and it's nothing, I mean, new, I think. If you at least once fetch a code or clone your repository, or set up the project or did a code review, you probably saw the Readme file. But what exactly is the Readme file? Is the file with information about your project, how to set up them, how to run, what about is the project, how to what's the license, how to run tests, how to run everything. And it's mostly related to the technical stuff, but it's very important if we are talking about our code. And why good Readme file is very important. Example from this project, what I was talking about. Once when I started, when I was new in the project, we started building the iOS app. So I started stopping my environment, and it was quite easy and smooth. Then my build stopped working. I mean, they never was, they maybe not stopped, but there was some issue with building the project. And I started digging about the information, and then I just realized that I spent a few hours with no answer. So I just started asking people, and also I spent another few hours, and it was quite annoying for me, but also for my teammates. And finally, we find the issue. There was some missing information how to do a configuration correctly, and there won't be a problem if the information will be inside your Readme file. So remember about that. Also, the Readme file is important for introduction for new employees, of course, what I said about. And also it can be your calling card. What does that mean? If you are new to the coding as a developer or test automation guy, probably you want to create something by your own, just on the GitHub, for example. So you're creating the GitHub, you put your code there, and you want to show off for some recruiter. So you put your link on your CV to your GitHub, and then the things just started. The recruiter go to your website, start checking the code. But if the recruiter is technical guy, okay, it's not a problem. But most recruiters are not familiar with technical stuff. So if you are not, if your README is not good enough and there's lack of information about the project and how to set up them, I think most of recruiters didn't understand it. So you lose your time, and also probably they will decline your proposal. And also, this is a cherry of the top. On the top, good README improves your writing skills because it's really hard to have a good documentation which is up to date, easy to understand, and also quite short. So as you can imagine, it's not easy to have the most important things inside the README and it's still to be valid for your team. About the README, there's an example how bad README can look like. And mostly I see this in some private projects when someone asks me about to do a code review for them or give some advice about the automation. But also I had almost the same in my in this project. So it's not the best. And the better one is much better as an inspiration. You can use for example, some open source project. This is a documentation from some open source project. And there's information, as I mentioned, about the what about is the project, precondition, installation, how to run the application, how to run tests, about license, and etc. So remember, the Readme file is also important and keep them up to date and as simple as possible for your teammates. The second tool is a pull request template. I saw it in a few of my projects where I worked, but I think it's still underrated because a lot of people didn't know about it. So what exactly is a pull request template? As a name is saying, it's like your template for a pull request. So I will show you. So you're just creating a documentation, and when you're creating a pull request, the template will be added to the description of your pull request PR. And of course, here there is no description provided. Also on the screen, you can see there is no reviewers. You can merge the pull request without any approvals. Probably there's the wrong naming convention for the branch and for the commit. But right now, the most important is the description. And also the description. This is the more complex and extended version. The description also help not only your teammates, but also for you to find off all faults which you want to add to your pull request. Also, when you see it's a question, it's easier to put some text inside your pull request. Remember, the pull request is also in documentation. So our repository is our documentation of our work. So it's also important to have this consistency, and in the same way. Of course, you can add some to-dos. If someone, for example, check the building of the project, unit test, or did some manual testing. But we can start with something simpler, of course. What does this PR do? I think this question is enough to start writing something inside the pull request for your teammates. Of course, this is still some text. So if your team or organization is not mature enough, I think they will want to follow the rules or to keep consistency of the name of the PR. But it's very useful and very important to keep them. And also this is how it looks like when you add it as a markdown inside the GitHub. You get, before you create a pull request, you get template like this, and there you can put your all description, which is also important. The third tool, it's a dependency and packages manager. Maybe the name is not familiar for you, but I think you are using this a lot. And what is the difference between every dependency and packages manager is that the one is for a global setup to keep consistency of global environment. And the second one is to keep your project environment consistent. There are some examples of dependency package managers: npm, Nugget, Gradle, Yarn, Composer, Maven. I think you saw some of them in your project probably. And I'm talking about this because mostly it's added by a system, but sometimes, like in the iOS, you need to add by yourself, and it can make a little mess around that. Example, first, in this project, which I'm talking about still, I had a situation when I started work. Of course, the Readme file wasn't good enough and up to date, so I need to set up my environment by myself, and I do that, and then you just see that your build is not working, not building. And the issue was, after, of course, when I spent a few hours looking for a solution, the issue was that I didn't have a good version of Gradle or Ruby. I don't remember some of them because I was installing this for the first time. So I get the latest version of the library, and we were using a lower version, so I can build my project. And that waste my time, and of course waste my time of my colleagues before I get an answer. And the second very important things around the dependency packages manager is the safety. I think at least once you had in the project a colleague who just like to have the latest version of any library or a package, and because there is the newest emoji, of course, and it's really good to have the newest emoji, right? Why not? And that situation, and you just came to your work early and see that your project stopped working because you just downloaded the newest version of the library. And this situation had a place on the beginning of this year. The creator of NPM libraries Colors and Faker, in numbers, Colors is like 3 billion downloads, Faker is almost 300 million downloads. They're running in 20,000 projects, so quite a lot, right? And the creator of these libraries decide, of course, they are open source projects, so they are free to use. And the creator decides that he was upset about not getting any donation from people, so he decided to sabotage and the libraries. And honestly, I don't know, he expects some money from that. Who knows? So you came to the work and then realized that your project is not working. So you're trying to find the problem. Then you find the problem, you try to fix it. You don't know how to do that. When you spend maybe a few hours, maybe a few days, then you just get an information that the libraries were corrupt. So you're just trying to reverse everything. And it's not that easy if you don't have a good dependency manager or package manager. But if you have, it's much easier. but still it take you some extra time. So remember to not have it the latest version of your libraries. It's also very important. And yeah, mostly that's it. So the linter, it's a tool for checking your styling on it. It's a static code analyzer. So it's checking your style of your code, checking everything around styling mostly. And as you can see on the screen, it's a code from Swift, some UI tests. And on first look, everything is fine, right? Maybe you can spot it. You can spot some extra white space, vertical white space, and that's it. But there are a few things more. I will show you next screen. But why I'm showing this to you, it's that probably at least once you had a situation when you was during a code review and had to do, and you see a lot of extra white spaces, vertical white spaces, missing space between parameters for your function, and you start doing the work like not focusing on logical side of your pull request, but mostly aesthetic one. And it's not a good time, right? You are not spending your time in the good way. So you can use the linter, and the linter can help you with that. As a machine, it's not boring, it's not tired, and he can do that all time. And yeah, as you can see, there are a few errors, some warnings, and how it works in mobile applications. For Android, it's quite easy. You just install your Android Studio, then jump to the settings, inspections, and voila, you have all linter rules, warnings. You can change the severity, you can read the description, you can turn off, turn on every rule. Also, you can build your own custom one with a Gradle. Of course, there's a really good documentation for that, so I recommend you. But what about the iOS, the Apple? With Apple, is that funny thing, the products are not created for developers, but for users, right? So if Xcode is for a developer, it's not for user, well, they are not good enough. I mean, in the Xcode, there's no something like a linter. And you need to use the open source from the community, good for them. And there is a Swift lint. It's an open source, so you can check everything on the GitHub. You can add your own rules. You can participate in creating the Swift lint. There's almost over 200 rules, so you can check everything. You can set up this and change, and switch as you wish. And it's really good, but it's even better when you use it with another tool, which is called Danger. Danger is a library or tool for automation around the pull requests. Example, if you want to add a linter, of course, it can be run on JavaScript, Swift, Kotlin, Python, and most mature is in Ruby. What I want to show is an example how it works. So we back to our screenshot with our pull request. Right now we have our pull request template. So it's good, but still there's missing some convention, naming convention. We can merge pull request, nothing is blocked, there's no reviewers. We wish to have for example, our linter warnings inside the pull request, because it can be done with a danger. And we can add some warnings and errors inside. This is an example how the danger works. You can create your own checks. The danger has integration with most of source controls, so with a GitHub, with Bitbucket, GitLab, probably. It's quite big and documentation is nice. Also, there's integration with the linters. Here is an example. There's the warnings from the linter. There are warnings from the linter. Also, you can add something, your custom one. Once in my project, we had a situation where UI tests aren't inside the development cycle. So we decide, so you need to run it manually. So as a reminder, we just create a rule inside the danger to remind us on every pull request to show the warning, as here, with a message, did you run tests on Jenkins? Because they are manual, because you need to do it manually, right? So that can be a case for danger. Also, because danger is running inside your CI, you can integrate them with Bitrise, Jenkins, GitHub Actions, and for example, if there is some failures inside, some errors or warnings, they can block your builds and stop merging and etc. So it's really useful tool. I like it a lot, Danger, and they had more libraries for, I don't know, for example, for code coverage and more. I recommend to check. And the last tool is something what you got with your repository settings. It's a branch protection rules. I will show you that on the GitHub example. So this is something what you get with an admin rights. So I recommend to create your own project and play with it. I think it will be a great to check by yourself, because mostly as testers, we don't have access to the settings of repository, right? Now I will focus on 3 of options, and I will jump to the GitHub, and I show you by example. So there's my repository. You go to the settings, and there is a branches. We have our default branch main. Here is the button for creating branch protection rule. Let's go there. We need to create a name for a pattern, because we have only one branch. It will be a main, but you can do that for your feature branch or for your develop branch. And then we have 3 options here, which we are interested. The first one require a pull request before merging. It will be nice to have. It will be great to have a pull request before we merge anything, right? Also, we can add approvals, the number, how many people need to approve your pull request before a merge. I think it would be great to stick with 1, because the teams are mostly quite small, maybe 2, not more. The next option is requirement for status checks to pass merging. It's also really great. If you use it, you can. I don't have any integration with Bitrise or GitHub Actions right now, but you can add your own checks, and it will be blocking merging if your CI failed. As you so you'll see this on the upcoming slides. And also, it's nice to have our branch up to date with develop. And the cherry on the top is conversation resolution. I like this option. It's not required, but it's nice to have it. And I like it because I see at least if my colleague saw my comments on his PR. So he need to click the button, resolve the conversation before merge. At least maybe he just clicked the button, didn't read my message. And create. And we have our protection rules here. You can edit, delete, or do what you want with them. Okay, let's return to our presentation. And when you finish with these options, you can feel like this guy. And so you are ready to protect your project protect from you and your colleagues, because mistakes happen, right? And you never know when. And we are almost at the end, so bear with me. This is what we saw in the beginning. And this is what is now when we add all these tools which I was talking about. There's also the Readme file and dependency package managers, but there are the communication, some informations from the danger. On the top, we have our pull request template. And as you can see, we added our protection rules. So if our CI here is a bitrise, is required and is failing, so you can't merge until you just fix your builds. And there's required reviewer, and you just protect your project in front. So at the end, key takeaways. All tools which I show you, they are pretty simple to implement. There I had a very good documentation, so no worries with that about that. You can start with everyone one by one, with every of these tools one by one, by creating small PRs. It takes like 1 day. You mostly spend the time during code, waiting for some code review, then just setting them. And it's very important to start with something small to get something bigger. Remember, the automation is our ally. Example, SwiftLint or Lintel or Danger. They are really useful. They are not tired. They are not exhausted. They are really helpful. And don't be afraid to do something new, our proof of concepts. The good time for that is, for example, where the sprint starts, if you are working in the Scrum, and the developers just start their work. So you have, as a tester, you have like 1, 2, maybe 3 days extra to do work related to POC or something, introducing something new tools or improvements. And of course, trust your teammates. What does that mean? Everything is a code, and you need to work with people. So you need to be in the good relation with them. And it's really hard sometimes, but it's really good to have your team on your side. And that's all. Thank you. And there are any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Thanks, David, for the presentation. I just want to give like big thumb up for a Readme file. It's so simple, and it's so important, and it's so beneficial for everyone in the project that it's shame for the projects where there is no Readme file. And unfortunately, there are still many projects that don't have Readme file.
Yeah, I agree, totally agree. I don't know why people are not they are not precise with the Readme. I mean, there is not up to date, or the Readme file is, they are not just caring about the Readme file.
And I think I have thought toward that, and again, that thought may also add like to your presentation what you told, like, guys, we can do this, but what is also too important is to spread this culture across your teammates, like promote this tools that you just presented, like, guys, look, I did this small thing and it's beneficial. You can do also similar things, like add information to Readme, provide some good like quality gates to pull requests or something like that. So like,
exactly, I agree totally.
Doing it by yourselves is one step, and promoting it to your teammates is like next level, but it will just even multiply the benefits.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I mentioned about the communication and spreading everything in your team to make grow and evolve as a team. No more questions?
So thank you so much for your time and for your sharing.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for invitation, and good luck, guys.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.